This is the AddE 600 watt electric bike kit. I'm super excited to check this out because I've reviewed the 250 watt kit and I was fairly impressed. I mean, these things are very, very lightweight. The battery only weighs 2.5 pounds. It only offers 133 watt hours, so that's a third the size of a more traditional battery pack that you'd see on some of these other bikes and big rack batteries or something that's right there on the down tube. So, you know, for the weight savings, you get something that looks really beautiful. It blends in, looks like a water bottle right there. Even the bottle cage itself is actually compatible with real water bottles. So you could potentially get 2 of these batteries. I think they go for about $300 if you get an extra one. And if you had 2 bottle cage mounts, you could double your capacity that way. Very cool. The motor itself, you can see right there near the bottom bracket, it only weighs 1.9 pounds. So combined, the battery, the motor, maybe some of the wires, depending on the accessories that you get. On this one, I have a trigger throttle. Maybe this is a 5.5 pound kit. That's just incredible. I mean, so many other electric bikes, including ones that use hub motors, even mid-drives, like the new Yamaha or Bosch motors. Just the motor alone weighs like 8.5 pounds, 7 or 8 pounds. That's incredible. This whole thing is only like 5.5 pounds. So it's exciting to see that, and I guess for me, it's exciting to think about going above 15.5 miles per hour because that was the top speed on the 250 watt kit. So now we're at 600 watts. They call this a speed pedelec, 28 mile per hour top speed. I put it on this hardtail, sort of a trail bike with my friend Sam at Myron's Extreme Machines in Fullerton. He's been kind enough to let me use his rack and some of the tools, and we actually went through, it was kind of an adventure getting this on because it's an older bike and we had to basically do some custom work. I might cut to some of that. Feel free to skip ahead, but it was sort of entertaining. I learned a few things along the way. This looks like some serious business right here. We've got like a blowtorch.
Just a little bit of MAC gas. We got a crank arm that's not coming off, so put a little bit of heat to it.
Right.
I got my Harley hammer out.
Is that what that thing is there? The park tool? Oh, there, that thing. That looks more like a hammer. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I appreciate the help. This is just an older bike that Sam's been riding for a long time. We're going to breathe some new life into it. These are the kinds of extra steps you might have to take if you're installing a kit, some unexpected turn of event kind of things. But I'm convinced we're going to get there. What do you think, Sam?
You see the heat coming off of it?
Yeah, I see some smoke. Yeah.
That's how hot you got to get it. We got stripped out threads. I've only got a couple threads in there for the tool to grab onto. So this is like my last chance of getting it off without having to cut it off.
Oh man.
So this is you put a little bit of pressure right here, and just tighten it up, and then you hit it with a hammer.
And hopefully it works, right?
Yeah, I think I got it hot enough. Again, I don't want to put too much pressure because it's so stripped out. If I put too much pressure, I'm afraid it's gonna...
Oh yeah, I can see it's like bending almost in there or something.
And it's still not coming.
Oh boy. Man.
I think it's futile at this point. We're gonna have to get out the grinder.
Oh man.
And we're gonna have to cut some angles on it to release the pressure, and we'll get it off that way.
Okay.
First time I ever had to cut one of these off, and I went next door to Fullerton Bikes, which is great having a bike shop next door that you can go to. And they said in cases like this where it's totally stripped, I was asking about using like a gear puller.
Yeah.
And they said, no, use a hacksaw and just make strategic cuts. They said like this, and it'll relieve the pressure and it'll pop off. I'm trying to do a few different cuts.
Awesome.
Just to see what's going to happen here. And obviously this is going to be history once I get it off.
Right. Some new crank arms in the mix.
Yeah, we'll get a new crankset put on there once we're done.
Cool.
All right, here we go.
Journey continues. Broke the grinder a little while ago, trying to get the cuts deeper. Sam's been leveraging this thing with a tire iron, making some decent progress, but it's still stuck on there pretty good. You were saying, thank goodness you had your glasses on because that piece came up and whacked you in the face, right?
Yeah.
Ouch.
You want to wear safety glasses anytime you're using those kind of tools.
Safety glasses.
This is kind of like a last resort, you know?
Hey, oh my gosh.
There it is.
That was awesome. It just fell off.
Well, I think whacking it with a hammer just like broke it loose, and that was crazy. I've never experienced anything like that. The taper, it's a tapered married fit, and that was on there really, really good.
Wow.
And amazingly enough, I don't think I hit any of the bottom bracket with the, yeah, I nicked it right there. Do you see it?
Where? Oh, just right there?
Right there.
A little slice.
So you got to get it down low enough to actually, and again, this is probably a pretty rare, I've never had to do this before. Experience probably helped a little bit. But if it's to this point, take it into a shop and have it done. This is
get some help.
not something a home mechanic is usually going to do.
I don't even think most shops would do this.
Well, they next door said that they use a actual hacksaw, and they put their cuts in to relieve the pressure on the taper, and then they can get it off. Probably using the same technique I did with leverage.
Yeah, it was awesome.
From behind with
That's
an old
the tire iron?
Yeah, it's like a motorcycle tire iron.
Huh.
For changing tires on the big fat tire bikes.
Oh.
Sometimes it's harder to use the small nylon bicycle tire irons.
Yeah.
So you have to get something a little bit more substantial to get in there and break those beads loose.
Way
so
more substantial. And that thing was, you were flexing it, man. This was pretty, this was pretty challenging.
And now that goes in the trash can.
There we go.
Or actually, we could probably recycle it, right? I got a recycle bin full of aluminum.
Aluminum?
But I'd have to cut the rest of the metal off there. But
okay. Well, it's
success.
Now I think we're almost ready to do the kit.
We're going to detail the bike first, and then we'll put the kit on.
Clean it up a little bit. Yeah, great job, Sam. What is this stuff? Bike foaming wash from WD-40?
Yeah, we got some polish. I might even throw, this bike's been sitting for a while.
Yeah.
So I might throw some degreaser on it and get a couple brushes as well.
Some degreaser, use a brush. Yeah, I see some, there's some rust and stuff. That might have been the problem with the bottom bracket earlier. Just basically locked on.
And then take a look, you do see rust here. Obviously it's been outside. So how do you get that rust off? Maybe just a little bit of steel wool, which I'll go and grab.
Oh yeah, steel wool.
So you get all that done before you do the wash, and then you wash everything away. But make sure you clean all the surfaces off really well, or you'll have that, little pieces of metal from your steel wool down into your, components on your bike. Which
or all the filings from when we were using the saw.
Totally, we're gonna get all that stuff off there.
It's more of hardworking Sam cleaning up the bike, man. It's looking good. Making good progress here. I was gonna call out that we do have it laid down on the derailleur side, but everything's kind of disconnected right now, and it's resting primarily on the pedals. So we're being careful, but yeah, I mean, even just with the rag, is this just soapy water or just regular water?
Yeah, well, I've already put the degreaser on it, so now I'm just getting the majority of it all off.
Yeah. And that's what I was talking about. We were being careful to avoid that.
You can see how dirty the water is there.
Oh.
And so I just squeeze it out a little bit and come down, and you can watch as I go around the rim how it'll
just cleans right
being
up.
That I be careful of your chain too, not to have it get caught up.
Sam, one of the things I noticed is that this uses linear pull brakes, sometimes called V brakes if they're Shimano brand, and cleaning up the rim like this might also improve the brake functionality.
Oh, definitely. You should clean your bike occasionally. I have people that don't ever clean their bike that come into the shop. We had a guy in here yesterday, actually. And when we detail them and clean them for them and they pick them up, they're just like, wow.
Yeah.
It looks like another people clean them every single time they ride them. And they still, I think if you just take a little bit of time and clean your bike, especially if you're using it as transportation, but if you're just even recreationally riding it, you come back in from your mountain bike ride, and especially on rides like that, your bike is just, mucky up from riding in the mud, the dirt. Guys that are using them every day, it accumulates over time. So they might not be cleaning their bike as often, but clean your bike and maintain it, and it actually runs better, Yeah.
Okay, Sam's got the bike up in the rack, and it sounds like it's been a bit of a handful getting this thing set up. Is that right, Sam?
Well, there was just some changes we had to make. The bottom bracket wouldn't work that came with it, so I'm lucky. I can, shout out to Fullerton Bikes, my next door neighbor. This is what came with the bike, the stock bottom bracket here.
Yeah.
And when I fully tightened it down, there was nothing left for me to tighten this ring around to hold the actual carbon fiber plate. So I had to go get a different bottom bracket, and I'm lucky that they had a lot for me to put in there and adjust and get this ring put on there and tighten everything down. Of course, the easier way to probably mount it would be on the kickstand, if there was a kickstand mount, but this bike doesn't have that.
Yeah, and initially we thought there was one, but that was just a plate that's kind of like sandwich on to the chain stays. So we didn't have a built-in kickstand mount. So you put these carbon fiber plates in, that holds almost like the control unit where all the wires connect.
Well, let me show you how this works. You know, you always read your manual before you install, but in this case, I went to YouTube and there's a video, and the video is like way more detailed than the manual. I mean, the manual is very detailed instructions, but I'm like figuring out what is that part and what do they mean by that, and by looking at the YouTube video, it's just like, wow, that's way more easier to understand, and you can rewind and look at it. This is the critical part right here for the installation. This is not a part of the bike, but this is gonna mock up where you have to angle these in order to get the wheel here at the right angle.
So you were talking about how you had to wire up the throttle.
So instead of bringing the throttle across and down like this, I had to bring the throttle straight down like that, and I had to use all these zip ties. And I hate zip ties because I've torn my hands on zip ties so many times. So you have to really be careful where you're gonna grab your bike. Anytime you have a zip tie, you can end up, I mean, it's brutal too, and a zip tie will rip your
But otherwise, I mean, the bottle mount, all the other stuff looks pretty good. That was one of the reasons that the Addy team wasn't including throttles. You kind of have to get them extra. They said, oh, it's a lot cleaner. You know, we don't want wires all over the bike. This thing's meant to be super, just you take the bottle and it's almost like it isn't there. But I'm excited to try the throttle. I mean, you know, sometimes that's nice when you can't pedal a whole lot or.
Yeah, the throttle kicks in and it pulls real hard. I don't know what it's gonna, it sounds really impressive. For the weight of the kit versus the actual output and power, there's nothing else I've seen on the market that comes close to power to weight ratio that this kit affords you.
You can see the pedelec disc here. It looks like it's a 5-magnet. There's a little red sensor that you've connected. You know, done a really good job here just installing the whole thing. It's very visible right now.
So we'll go ahead and start turning the crank arm.
Because it's on right now. Yeah.
It may have powered. There you go.
There we go. Okay, so, wow. Well, that was, then see how it's just floating right now?
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and hit the brake right there.
There we go, we'll just pull the brake.
And let's try to just start spinning this.
See, so we're spinning.
It's not doing anything.
Nothing's happening. That's the cadence sensor right there. 5 magnets are passing. Nothing is happening. So, but then, and you know.
As soon as I spin the rear wheel though, and this magnet here that passes the sensor here.
Oh yeah, there it passes.
So I'm passing it there, nothing's happening. But if I start to spin my crank with that, then it
So it's a speed sensor. And that's like a safety thing, right? They don't want people to accidentally, especially with the throttle, be like, oh, I'm loading it in my car, and you bump the throttle, and the wheel takes off on you.
You can see now that as long as the wheel continues to spin, I'm not pedaling, but the throttle will activate.
Yeah, so there's the trigger throttle we've got installed. Pretty sweet.
The thing's got some serious RPM that is pulling out of that thing.
Okay, so now you've seen what it took to create this monster of an electric bike. Still very elegant and beautiful. Had we not wanted to put on the trigger throttle, we wouldn't even have this extra wire, and it would just use pedal assist. So it has a 5-magnet cadence sensor right here. Not the most responsive, and especially now we have this super large chain ring. I'm in kind of the lowest gear in the back and trying to get my cadence up, because what I've noticed is that it doesn't activate super quickly, and you do have to be rolling a few miles per hour before the throttle will even work. That's sort of a safety feature, and a lot of electric bikes have that. I think the Bionics kits do it. It's meant to kind of make sure that, okay, you mean to go, like you're not accidentally bumping this and potentially, you know, dropping the bike. So it's fine, but this isn't the ideal platform. Also, we've got these, I don't know, they're definitely trail or mountain tires, but they do have fairly consistent rubber patch down the middle, and so it's actually not making a whole lot of extra noise when I ride. I'll show that in a minute, but this is definitely, it's far from perfect. Okay, we talked about the limited battery capacity, 133 watt hours. The motor power is actually, I think, physically this is probably the same motor as the 250 watt kit. They call it a 600 watt kit. It seems like all it does is remove the top speed limiter. And we still have some of the challenges that I faced on the 250 watt kit, which is that, you know, this sort of takes up the spot where a normal kickstand would mount. You could probably put one back here on a chainstay, but that's also where the speed sensor is set up right now. So maybe you know, experiment with how that works. I like having kickstands on my bike. I also like to carry regular water. So, you know, if that's taking up one of your bottle cages, maybe you need two. Little trade-offs, right? Little trade-offs. I think the biggest trade-off that I faced was trying to figure out how to make this thing really perform. And even once I got there, I was a little bit disappointed because it doesn't feel like 600 watts. It's not carrying me up mountains or anything like that. It's more just like, oh yeah, it's kind of like the 250 watt, except now it doesn't shut off at 16 miles per hour. It'll just take me and it kind of just keeps going. Keep pedaling, keep pedaling, keep pedaling, but that's mostly me doing the work. And then the motor's there to complement my work and support me a little bit, but it doesn't feel like it's really taking me there like some of the more powerful electric bikes that have like real torque, like the Yamaha system's like 70 Newton meter mid-drive. This is not like that. And this is pretty loud. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pop this in. Right now the battery is off. The cap clicks into 5 different positions to basically give you more power. That's really the only adjustment that you have. We've put a cycle computer up on the handlebars, but otherwise you really wouldn't have much feedback about how much battery capacity remains, how fast you're going, how far you've gone. So it's very minimal, and that's totally what they're going for, but that's one of the trade-offs versus this and maybe some other kits or a full-size electric bike. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on so we can see our speed. The battery is off right now. If I plug it in, you can see down here where the plug makes contact. Make sure it's seated well and listen. Okay, that's the system saying, yep, we're ready to go. And then down here, there's a red LED. And as the wheel sensor passes, you can see it light up right there. Okay, so that's feedback. Also, as you pedal with the cadence sensor, it lights up as well. Okay, and remember that kind of 2 or 3 miles per hour we were talking about. It's not gonna power on until we hit that, and we turn the bottle on to whatever power level. So I'm gonna turn it all the way up. Okay, pedaling. All right, you can see that the motor just hangs down and there's actually kind of a gap of space between it and the wheel, so you don't get any cogging, there's no drag. It's a pretty nice system. It's just a little bit loud, and again, potentially very difficult to get this thing all set up correctly. Unless you're fortunate, you use a platform that actually has a kickstand mount, and you can just screw this plate directly into it, slide the motor on. It'd be very easy if that was the case, but of course we went the hard route, had to take the crank arms off and mess with the bottom bracket and mount this thing with the carbon fiber plates. It does feel very solid, and one of the other things I like about the bike is just how easy it is to remove that water bottle battery and then also to remove the motor. I mean, you can come over to the other side, stick in a little Allen key right here into that hole, and you can just slide this motor out and unplug the 2 wires that connect to it. So that's neat. And again, since I asked them to send me a throttle, there's just a little kind of a joiner cable here that adds the extra wire. So it worked out pretty well. Now getting back to how do you get full power out of this thing? When we installed it and rode it around, I'm not sure why, but it might have got bumped or something, or maybe they just sent it in 250 watt mode because I wasn't able to get over 15.5, 16 miles per hour, which is again sort of the European top speed limit. This is supposed to be the 600 watt like US version that you pay a little bit extra for. It's like 1251 versus 1012, so some interesting numbers, but basically $250 difference. Do I think it's worth it? Sure, yeah, I like to go a little bit faster. It's a little bit ambiguous about what class it is. I think technically this is like a class 4 moped or something because you can get over 20 miles per hour, sort of. It's like you have to be pedaling most of the time. I'm not a super heavy guy, and this isn't the perfect platform, but if it was on a super efficient road bike and I was on a long straightaway, you could probably go over 20 miles per hour using the throttle. That's technically class 4, okay? But at the same time, this isn't like super duper powerful. It's not really accelerating you up there. It doesn't cut out. I mean, kind of no matter the speed I've been at, I can activate the motor and it just goes. It helps me out. So I guess I kind of think of this as a speed pedelec, but I almost think of it as a class 2 with the throttle. You're definitely going to get some attention with the motor power. And so anyway, we're talking about, is it worth it? Maybe. and how do you get this thing to actually perform? I had to call ELV Motors, which is like the official distributor in the US. They're in Santa Clara, California. Very helpful. Doug runs that store, and basically asked them for some help because I was confused. I was like, why isn't this 600 watt kit going faster? That's the whole point. That's the whole idea. And they said, oh, okay, well, there's this little chip thing, okay? So this is just like a little computer chip, a little card that you actually connect into the motor itself. So you can see there's these 2 white plugs. There are 2 because I have a throttle plugged in. If we unplug this but left the power cable plugged in, and then we plug this chip in, and then you plug the battery in that order, so chip, battery, it would kind of come to life, and it flashes like 6 times in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that basically tells you, oh, it's in 600 watt mode. I don't know how to get it out of 600 watt mode. There weren't any instructions really explaining that part of it, or perhaps I lost them. I've been pretty careful, and I've been getting help from an expert, Sam, like installing all this. And it just felt like, what a bunch of time that we spent to finally unlock it. But now that it's there, it's like, oh, great, I'm glad. I don't want to mess with it on camera because I don't want to reset it. I want to go do some ride tests and stuff. But it was really those 3 steps. And I think Nate at ELV Motors is the guy to talk to if you have questions. But once you get it and it flashes 6 times, it's like, okay, good. Just don't lose that chip if that's what you're paying the extra money for. I've twisted this, let's see, all the way to the right. Okay, there are the 5 clicks. It's in the highest output level, and it's all plugged in. And I think I'm going to get it up to 2 miles per hour. Engaging. There we go. See how it kind of sucks up into the wheel? We decided to put the speed sensor on the front wheel just to avoid conflicting signals and make it a little bit cleaner. So I can't say exactly how fast it's going in the rack. So I'm only 135 pounds, and it's pretty flat terrain out there. We're not going to really be stressing this bike too much. Keep that in mind. This isn't the killer like 600 watt mountain bike solution that I was hoping for. I was even thinking, like, man, how couldn't you do like a full suspension? And I just looking at the pivot points on the bikes we had available and stuff, it didn't really look like it. And the knobby tires, these are ones that actually work, but not all of them would be this smooth. I still think this is probably kind of an urban environment bike, and the noise is something that still kind of bothers me a little bit. It's very distinct whine. But everything else about it, just the design, how small it is, compact, and even the charger, and this is 0.6 pounds, 2 amp output, 22.2 volt DC input. Look how small, it's just awesome. And you can unplug this cord side too if you want, and this plugs directly into the bottom of the bottle battery. So, this is really neat just to see this. And I bet if they nailed the noise thing, if they could figure out some way to make it quieter, even if that added a pound, that'd be worth it to me. And then keep in mind, while we're out there, because it is so minimalist, there are no brake lever inhibitors, so there are times where maybe you're pedaling and activating the cadence sensor, but you actually want to be braking, and you could be fighting the motor. Initially I was going to say, hey, this is a bigger deal. It's 600 watts, but it's actually not that much more powerful from what I can tell. So I think you can overcome it, but these are more basic linear pull brakes that we're dealing with here. This isn't, if it's an older bike, and especially if your tires are wearing down, there are just some more considerations to make with a kit like this than if it was a purpose-built electric bike. So, okay, I think it's finally time to get out there and see this thing in action. Let's go. Okay, so I'm getting ready to turn right on that street. There's a little bit of a hill going up, and I do mean a little bit. It's not that big. One of the disappointing things about that trigger throttle, again, is that you have to get the bike up to speed on your own. And again, the gearing on this one's a little bad, so I'm gonna have to slug through it. But then I'm gonna let the bike do the work and just try to show you, demonstrate the power. How powerful is this thing? How much torque and how much climbing can you actually do? So here we go, I'm gonna kick off. There we go, come on. Struggling to get it up to that 2 miles per hour. There we go. You can hear it getting up to speed now that we're on the flat. So we were going like 6, 7 miles per hour, barely. Now we've got a long straightaway. You hear the motor And now we're up to 18, so we're past that 16 mark. 19, 20. This time I'm going to test pedal assist so you can see how responsive it is. Again, just 5 magnets, it's not a whole lot. I think rather than having, you know, a 600 watt that's like a speed pedelec that really doesn't perform like it, it would be cool if the Addy team just said, hey, there's a US version, and then have it shut down the motor at 20. And I think people would go for that. Maybe just charge 100 extra or something like that, because it just feels a little bit misleading. Even with pedaling, yes, I can get higher, and yes, the motor's spinning, but it's really just not adding that much. So let's give it a try. Grass test. Top speed there was 8 miles per hour. So to me, it sort of makes this more of a 20-ish mile per hour, and that's why it's a bummer that it sort of has to be classified as like a class 4, like a moped or speed pedelec, because it's not really. It doesn't perform that way. And this is a full battery, and we were just coming up that driveway a second ago, and it was like, just trying to get me up a driveway ramp. So yeah, a little bit lackluster on the performance that way. And again, we do have a display here because I installed that separately with Sam's help. That way we could tell how fast we were going, because this doesn't include that kind of informational readout. There's no LCD panel telling you how much battery capacity remains, how far you've gone, that kind of stuff. It's hard to even tell what level of power you're in without just reaching down and twisting that cap. And if you forget and you don't turn that off, I mean, it's a physical switch. I'm not sure if it actually turns itself off. You might be wearing down the battery. I've been just, turning it all the way to the left and then taking it off completely just to avoid accidentally draining the battery down, because we wanted to do this test with full power. So again, it's a little bit of a mixed experience on this one for me. I would certainly prefer the higher power, higher speed, or rather just higher speed maybe version of this kit if I was considering one of the two, because I'm in America, and you top out at 16 miles per hour and it's like, oh, I'd like to go at least 20. Well, this one gets you that. You can go 20, but it's really not that much different. 250 bucks isn't a whole lot extra to ask, but you're really not getting a whole lot extra for that money either. And then the batteries and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm definitely mixed on this. For the right application, it could make sense. For a deaf person, could make sense. For everyone else, there are a lot of different kits out there today, and unless you're really craving that super lightweight design, that's super easy to remove. The battery, the motor, it's very unique, and it offers that. But I'm looking forward to maybe some of their future versions and refining this a little bit more. For the full write-up on this with all the specs and to compare it to the 250 watt version, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, ride safe.